When Tesla rolls out their RoboTaxi, we're going to see some huge moves. But what is the app actually going to look like? What will it do? What will it not do? What could it do better? And what could it do worse? So to get these answers, I'm talking with an actual Uber driver, Brian Rashetsky from Austin, Texas. I'm Brian. Welcome to My Tesla Weekend. Brian Rashetsky, how are you?
I'm doing great. And again, the correct spelling, B-R-Y, again.
What? I don't remember that. Well, that's, you know what, we'll save that for the after show.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree.
So, when the RoboTaxi comes online, there's going to be an app. What's it going to be like? Just realized my heat was still on. What's it going to be like? What's the app going to be like? What's it going to do? What's it not going to do? Give me your thoughts.
I believe that it's probably going to be very similar to the Uber and Lyft app now. There will be some features that will be better, and there could be room for other features. But honestly, I don't feel that the Uber and Lyft app, that system, doesn't need much of an improvement overall. The system works great. They've
been tweaking it for 10 years.
Sure, anything can be improved. But overall, I think the main differences are just going to come from the ability of the car to be autonomous without the driver, without the need for the driver to be in the car, to take breaks and all that. And from that will be the feature improvements and feature differences, some we can't even imagine right now or think of.
So it's 7 o'clock. I finished dinner. I know I'm not going out tonight, but I do have to leave for work at 7 a.m., and I need at least 100 miles of range. What's my car going to do tonight?
Oh, that's a good addition there. You threw in with the range. So as a feature on Uber and Lyft, you can make sure that there are ways of filtering your rides and incorporating your schedule, your time into your rides. And the RoboTaxi won't need to do that. You only need it if it's your car on the RoboTaxi system. You'll just need to make sure that it's back at a specific time. So you could just easily set a filter that would allow the car to do rides in certain areas until it's ready for you in a specific area and be ready for you at a specific time.
So the network could say, it's 4 o'clock. This guy wants to go to BFE. That's too far. Decline the ride. I'll take someone somewhere else. Even if it means I'm sitting idle for an hour, I'll get back in time. Have the extra range spared. That seems like something the network could handle. So, here's another question I have about Uber, because I'm going to tell you, I do not have a favorable impression of the company. They do good work in some cities. I've had mixed luck with drivers, but the worst driver I've ever had on Uber was still about as good as the best driver I've ever had in a taxi. So that's the benefit of stars right there. Mm-hmm. My problem is in some cities, Uber doesn't recognize that all of the cabbies are conspiring to gouge the heck out of you. So when I went to the Dominican Republic, I tried to get an Uber, and all of them said, nope, call me off platform. It's going to be $80 to get you to the hotel. And it was a $15 ride. And when I went to go back, once I got in town, it was fine. It worked great. It worked seamlessly. But from the airport, from tourist destinations, they'd message you. And surely Uber's got to know that there are no pickups for, how are there hundreds of people are requesting them, thousands of messages are exchanged, nobody gets picked up from that airport. How the hell do they screw that up?
Wow. I have never heard of this, and I could only imagine that this would happen. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and it was crazy. On the way back, my last 2 nights I was in kind of a touristy area. So when I went to get my thing, I couldn't go outside. The hotel staff would not let me outside because it was like 5 a.m. They're like, no. This hour? No. You don't go outside until your taxi's here. So it took me probably 4 attempts to get a taxi before I got one, because all of them were like, oh, give me $30, give me $80. And the last guy who just, no problem, just picked me up like nothing. he got all the money I had in my wallet, because what on earth am I going to do with this stuff when I get home? So
Sure.
he ended up getting the big fare anyway. But yeah, it was crazy. How the hell does Uber not notice that?
Yeah.
I think
that's their biggest obstacle. Their biggest obstacle are the employees doing the drives. If someone gets in a wreck and kills somebody while on Uber, their biggest problem. That's their problem. That's them going to be in the news. That's Uber going to have to deal with lawyers and stuff. That's their biggest problem. That's the biggest payout that they have to pay. That's the time whenever a customer's upset. It's because of the driver, whether he's driving crazy, or he's driving unsafe, or he's acting crazy, or he's acting,
like a criminal, or
or sexual in nature.
Sure.
We, as an Uber driver, there was a point in time when we had to give training. Like everyone on the app, you have to go through this training video. And it would teach you how not to talk politics, because that could upset people. It would teach you how not to say certain things that are, you can say, like, it would tell you not to say things that could be sexual.
I told you about my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Oh, sorry.
Oh, religious. Yeah, that's another
religion.
thing. Yeah.
That's another one you got to avoid.
I thought you were trying to be all.
No.
SMR.
Yes, but with Jesus.
Yeah,
because it was just Easter, not a couple days ago, but a week or 3 ago. I don't know when this runs.
Yeah. So anyways, you cut out the driver, problem solved.
How many Uber drivers do you know or have met? Bunches, right? Just bunches?
Honestly, I haven't met too many.
Okay.
Personally, because
I assume that any professional driver runs the non-zero risk of tickets or accidents.
Oh God. On that note, I actually wish I was on full self-driving the other day, because I got a ticket basically for driving like an 8-hole, because I was, and for disregard of traffic control device. If I was on FSD, wouldn't have happened. That's all I want to say on that note.
When your car comes back to pick you up for work in the morning, it won't have any tickets on it.
Yeah.
No parking tickets, no speeding tickets. It might have an unsafe lane change or two, but we're working on it. And you recently posted some videos. I'm probably going to put them up as B-roll, if that's all right with you, of multiple zero intervention long drives. Tell me about that.
And I have noticed that in some cases, I say zero intervention, but there's multiple terms. I mean, not zero intervention. It's like some of them are zero intervention, and most of them that are zero disengagement, right, are created by the problems are created by me. I had a video that I haven't uploaded yet, and every one of the problems was me. One time I thought it should be going straight. It started taking a left, and I was like, why is it doing this? Because it was kind of doing these weird hesitations and going to the right. And so I said, I canceled the turn, but it was the right turn. A lot of times it's me screwing it up. And I've noticed that. And the more I just relax and let it do its thing, and just make sure that it's preparing for each next lane change and has enough time, that's all it needs. It's getting so good. It blows my mind every day that I get into it.
So let's talk about money. Let's pretend that there are not 11 kajillion robo-taxis on the road. Let's pretend you have the only fleet, or there are not too many of them yet. You're saying Uber pays what? $1 a mile, $50 a mile?
Yeah.
For a human?
Between 50 cents to $1 a mile. Yeah.
So what would you accept as a fare for the car driving itself with a passenger, assuming that once again some app, some company is taking on the liability for damage and stains and would you take 20 cents?
It's hard to really calculate that.
That'd be 20 grand on 100,000 miles. 20 cents a mile sounds low to me.
Exactly. There still has to be a threshold in which it's, for me as a personal consumer, right? That's different than a person or a company that has a fleet.
Sure.
Their cost of the whole fleet is going to be a lot lower. They can get their miles down lower. And because of that, could definitely make it look harder for some to get into it if that cost is too low. Because I would have to get like solar panels, for instance, or like I would need to work on getting it cheaper per mile for my own sake. So, yeah.
So out of 100,000 miles, let's just call a car 100,000 miles, because at that point, it's a different car. It still has value. You could probably run it another 100, but it's a different car. A lot of customers wouldn't be as happy driving in it. For 100,000, even at 50 cents a mile, that's only 50 grand, and that doesn't cover your electricity or your brakes or your windshields. So I don't know how much down market this can go before we have to consider a vastly cheaper car like the upcoming compact.
Exactly. The upcoming compact will make RoboTaxi financially viable for everyone, for the owners of the vehicles and for customers who do not own any vehicle.
Because for those will probably run 200,000 miles. You could do 25 cents a mile in that car and get 50 grand out of a $25,000 car. You got to pay for the juice, but it's not going to be that much. I think 25 cents might be the floor. So let's talk about some crazy benefits that a RoboTaxi could have. So one would be, that cab stand in front of the hotel, it doesn't have to look like a madhouse. They could slowly circle. They could go out of town and line up in an orderly fashion digitally. They could reallocate around town as needed. If a show that wasn't expected just got out, 20 could zip over. Can you see any other unexpected benefits of a RoboTaxi network?
We won't need parking lots at all at a certain point. We won't even need any parking lots. Now, that's not going to happen when, we have our first few autonomous fleets. We're still going to have to park for a lot of people, but eventually we won't need parking lots at all. Trying to really think what's the first signs that that are going to start appearing that will give us the ability to see that we're moving, that we're almost right there, right? It's hard to say because our entire...
I have an answer.
You do?
I do. Walmart is very forward thinking. When they put in a self-valet lane, that's when the transition has happened. Because they will absolutely put in a self-valet lane.
Yeah,
for
same
your
thing with
car
all
to
the
pick you up.
contactless pickups. Those are perfect for RoboTaxi.
Oh,
yep.
Oh my gosh. You know what's also perfect for RoboTaxi? Car bomb.
Car bomb?
Yeah, just send it to the bad people you don't like.
You went dark. You went Black Mirror on me.
It's going to happen. The beauty is these terrible, terrible people often buy one-way tickets, which means they're very frugal. I don't think they're going to buy a self-driving car. It's too expensive.
Yeah, but see, I don't know. Like, the thing is in order to get the car bomb inside the car, you'd have to be able to unlock the car and put it in there. So wouldn't you have to sign up to the Tesla Uber ride and then get the Tesla to come and then you've signed up? And so they could sign up under a fake name or there's a way you could do it, but they're still going to be tracked. And once they're going to videotape, they're going to have a video of the person putting the car bomb in there.
That's true.
It's the same thing. They do that in other ways. That's just
you can turn a shovel into a weapon of death.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something dark that could happen with it. I don't know. Oh,
you don't have to think about it. You saw at least 2 or 3 of my April Fool's videos where I did the same show 6 times consecutively. And one of the things I said was, the cars could definitely not decide to kill all humans.
Oh, no, yeah.
No. And there were people in the comments who were like, my God, Brian, you went off the... Oh, never mind. I just saw the other 3.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes I feel that the Tesla FSD ego, the projected path, when I should be paying attention and it's telling me to pay attention and I'm on my phone texting, sometimes I have started to think that because it never really makes weird mistakes. One time I was on my phone and it was supposed to be taking a left and it just started getting into the right lane. And I'm like, it has to be because the Tesla, its ego is like, dude, I've told you so many times, get off your phone. And it did something to really make me pay attention.
I will tell you the only drawback that I see that is insurmountable for full self-driving is when I pull up to an intersection, I can make eye contact and that's enough, and the car can't. I can on my wheel do this, and everybody at the intersection knows who I'm talking to and what I'm saying, and the car don't got that.
Totally.
And that's
on that note, I was on FSD on the highway and I was trying to make a lane change and there was a truck right in my blind spot, and I put the blinker on. And, you know, the Tesla does this very often. It tried to lane change, noticed the person was kind of in the way, so it swerved back over, right? The other truck then was a nice guy, and he backed off, flashed his headlights at me. Then the Tesla switched back lanes. And I was like, dude, so the Tesla's it's going to start recognizing these cues. So if it's possible for it to recognize when a person flashes their lights, it could be bad, could be good, but it could recognize that as a cue, so it would know the situation. And it could use context thinking to determine if that was a good cue or a bad cue. Just like at Always Stop, we wave people on. It could learn those cues. And now I don't know how good it will be at seeing inside of cars, but if we as humans can see them with our eyes, the Tesla's possible to be able to see it with its camera as well. So those kind of cues, I think, are possible to learn.
That is absolutely bonkers and something I would have never considered.
Yep.
Now I know a lot of people have said, what we need is Bluetooth between cars to communicate traffic. And no. That's a whole can of worms. You know what I think they need? I think they need to up the frame rate to 120 frames per second so that the LEDs can flicker a digital message instead. So it's an optical message that you and I can't see because we can't solve the CAPTCHA for the robots.
Yeah, that's definitely. That's interconnecting. You know, that's more into the fleet situation. Totally. And then, we will definitely be safer as a civilization when our transportation can communicate with each other. 100%.
You and I can't see it.
There should be a regulation.
The maze is not for you.
I believe I've even heard that in the past, that there was like hints or talk of some kind of regulation that would make every car have to communicate with each other in some way.
I can see it being a blessing almost all the time and a curse once someone figures out how to hack the car behind you to slam on the brakes. So anyway, we've gone on quite long enough. Brian, it is so wonderful chatting with you. I'm so glad we finally got to connect. It took us a week to get our schedules lined up, but I'm glad we did it. And this was a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. And we'll have to do another one. We'll have to talk actually more about what that app's going to look like, because I feel that that's going to be really cool. It's going to come out. We're going to see it. And I feel what is it going to look like is a great subject.
A good question I have for you, and we can cover this next time, is how much of a slice would you let Daddy Elon have before you say, come on, man, why am I giving a billionaire another nickel?
That's a good one. I think in the beginning, like FSD beta testers are now, using the software while paying a lot of money for the software as beta testers, I think a lot of people in the beginning will enjoy being able to put their car on a RoboTaxi system and make money while they're doing something else. I feel in the beginning there will be a high demand of people who have maybe an extra Tesla or have a Tesla and wants to do that. I really think so. Every person that has a Tesla on Turo is a person that might want to put it on the RoboTaxi system.
And I think just like hotel pricing and demand pricing, when the supply is short, people at random like you might see, oh my gosh, it's a buck a mile, where the guy with 20 of them is just sitting there going, all day I'm seeing a dime. I'm not touching it. I'm not going to go.
Sure. Yeah.
So, okay. Well, guys, in the comments, we got to know for the app, for the RoboTaxi, what did we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it in them comments. If you don't get an opportunity, now's a good time. Like and subscribe. I'm still not charging for those features. How cool is that? And, if you feel like it, you can always join me on Patreon. $1 a month is the minimum because that's the I don't know, man. Anyway, you get early access, bonus content, all that good stuff. But for the rest of stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to hear from you clever robots, maybe in a RoboTaxi.